Virgen de Guadalupe, a Dios refugio del pecador. Tú eres mi encanto, tú eres mi vida, dulce esperanza en mi dolor. Sweet hope. Farewell, O Mother Virgin. Farewell, protectress of sinners. You are my delight. You are my life, my gratifying hope, my sweet hope in my struggles and my strife. This is the depth of prayer and spirituality from my history. So the journey of hope has its struggle. And one thing that I've experienced, especially in Brazil and the United States, is that the poor and non-poor, this church is always a community in search of the good news of salvation. But I believe that this church thrives where there is a healthy and honest struggle to look for real solutions to real problems. And I believe that's what we as missionaries do for the church. We are not here to teach others to be content or comfortable or triumphal. I don't think that is what Jesus intended. Missionaries should be witnesses. And so, my friends, for me to thrive in an honest struggle, I have to see with the eyes of my heart. And sometimes we realize from a start that someone in our midst, someone in my midst, not rated too highly in the world, is able to see clearly something the world cannot see. In the midst of confusion of roads competing for our attention, they're able to recognize the path that leads to God. This kind of seeing is the wisdom buried in our hearts. The wisdom we must begin to recover if we want to see our road ahead of us, our path. A story by Nicholas Harnan helps me very much. And this story is helpful for me as a first step in demonstrating this existence. I'd like to share it with you quickly. He writes, I went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land a few years ago. A day was set aside for experiencing the desert. An air-conditioned bus drove to the edge of the desert, which was conveniently marked by a large hotel. Here we were present with our first option. Those of us who wished to have our desert experience indoors did so in the comfort of the hotel lounge. Which looked out into the desert. And those of us who wished to brave the outdoors walked about a quarter of a mile into a prominent monument erected by the Israelis to commemorate the 1967 Arab-Israeli War. Once there, we were presented with another option. We could remain in the shade of the monument or fan along in different directions for 40 minutes of meditation. On no account was anyone to wander too far from the watchful eye of the guide. And as I sat on a rock fighting back the fear of desolation, I saw a Bedouin woman riding a donkey in a short distance away. She seemed to appear out of nowhere. I watched her as she weaved her way through the small sand dunes and headed into the limitless desert. She made no attempt to check her bearings against the monument. As she became a tiny black speck on the horizon, the daring of her journey hit me. Before moving back to the security of the monument, I walked out to inspect the path which I had presumed was capable of carrying this lady into a frightening wilderness. All I could see were fainted hoofprints fading rapidly into the shifting sands. Soon there would be no trace of the Bedouin woman on the donkey. Later that evening on the bus bringing us back from the desert, I spoke to the driver, who was familiar with the Bedouin way of life. I was intrigued to know how the woman could travel through the desert without the aid of a path. And he simply said, but she can see a path. So I wish myself, where I am on the journey for all of us, as this balance of action and prayer